Wonders of Scotland, its most amazing castles and historic cities. Scotland's iconic Eilean Donan Castle was rebuilt by 1932. Its restored walls expose how castles controlled Scotland and later shaped national memory. Stone walls can command a skyline long after they stop commanding roads, harbours, and glens. I want to separate that visual force from the stories later attached to it. Across Scotland, volcanic ridges, tidal islands, sea cliffs, and planned streets. Gave rulers, merchants, churches, and builders hard ground on which to project power. Records confirm much of that history. Archaeology fills older gaps. Legend often claims the rest. In this film, we explore how castles and historic cities turned severe terrain into political control. And how modern Scotland preserves that weight without letting grandeur erase evidence. Three mountain ridges dominate Glencoe, but its decisive historical force came on government paper. In February 1692, troops quartered among the MacDonalds turned against their hosts under orders from the regime of William and Mary. Long before politics entered the Glen, volcanic activity built the rock. Glaciers, rivers, frost, and erosion then cut a steep passage through it. The Three Sisters form its southern wall, while the A82 uses this natural opening. Glencoe was never an isolated enclosure. The order followed political pressure over oaths of allegiance after the Jacobite conflict. Many soldiers served under Captain Robert Campbell of Glenlyon. Calling it a private Campbell-MacDonald feud breaks the chain of responsibility. Command travelled from government into a household that had provided shelter. MacDonalds, driven into the open, then faced severe winter conditions. The ground did not issue the order, but it multiplied the human loss. Rain, wind, snow, loose ground and cloud can erase short distances. Valley paths and exposed traverses can become serious hazards. Against the Three Sisters, the chain of responsibility remains visible. Government orders entered a sheltered household, and winter magnified the loss. Bealach Naba climbs from sea level into winter weather without gaining a second lane. Engineered in 1822, the single-track road rises from near sea level to more than 600 meters through tight bends and gradients approaching 20%. Bealach Naba means Pass of the Cattle, recalling movement between coastal settlements and inland markets before motors arrived. For generations, it gave Applecross its principal road connection. The climb compresses altitude and weather into a short distance. Shore rain can give way to fog, wind, ice, or snow near the summit. A single lane, blind bends, steep drops, cyclists, livestock, and limited passing places force traffic to slow and negotiate. The route remains unsuitable for some large vehicles and inexperienced drivers. Clear weather opens views toward Rossi, Skye, and the Inner Sound. Yet the pass proves its value when the view closes and access still has to hold. A lower coastal route opened in the 20th century, but the pass still supports residents, deliveries, emergency travel, crofting, seafood businesses, and services shaped by season and weather. Every passing place turns the old cattle route into a daily negotiation between isolation and connection. Britain's last mainland wilderness is not empty. It is a settled peninsula cut off from Britain's public road network. Between Loch Nevis and Loch Howen, Inverness is reached mainly by passenger boat from Mallaig, while the land route crosses long, exposed mountain ground. That barrier shapes every practical choice. Homes, a school, businesses, and basic services must function beyond the ordinary reach of tarmac. Several Munros tighten the pressure. On Lochs behind, exposed ridges and fast-changing weather demand strong navigation and endurance. Yet the emptiness is partly made by history. Clearances, estate ownership, grazing, and emigration altered who could remain and how the land was used. In 1948, the 7 men of Dunnottar occupied estate ground and sought post-war smallholdings. Their legal challenge failed, but the action placed Highland ownership firmly in the public record. In 1999, the Dunnottar Foundation led a community buyout, giving residents control over housing, woodland, energy, access, and development. Dunnottar cannot be reduced to scenery without people. Its mountains enforce isolation. Community ownership now directs homes, energy, woodland, and access on ground once controlled as a private estate. A 19th-century castle crowns a hill that had already controlled Highland movement for centuries. Its red sandstone buildings rose in the 1830s, after earlier strongholds were repeatedly contested, rebuilt, or replaced. Leverage lies below. The River Ness approaches the Moray Firth here, creating a crossing between the Great Glen, the northeast coast, and routes into the northern Highlands. Roads and railways now extend that old advantage toward Aberdeen, Perth, Wick, Thurso, Kyle of Lochalsh, and scattered Highland communities. Nearby, the Caledonian Canal forces an east-west passage through engineered channels and natural lochs. This is why Inverness became more than a gateway. Hospitals, colleges, courts, shops, museums, Gaelic organizations, and transport services concentrate the daily work of a vast, sparsely populated region. That concentration brings pressure. Expanding suburbs, housing demand, congestion, and seasonal visitors all bear down on the principal city serving the Highlands. Redevelopment has given the Castle Hill a new civic role, with gardens, viewpoints, and exhibitions centered on Highland stories and culture. The defended height now interprets the region it once helped command. The castle confirms Inverness as the Highland urban centre, built where movement became civic power. Sea pressure, rather than the John O'Groats journey marker, defines Britain's northeastern mainland limit at Duncansby Head. Duncansby Head is the officially recognised northeastern extreme of both mainland Scotland and mainland Britain, beside a lighthouse operating since 1924. Strong Pentland Firth currents meet rapidly changing North Sea weather below the tower. Its role is practical: mark an exposed coast. South of the tower, waves exploit fractures, enlarge caves into arches, and strip weakened roofs away. The Duncansby stacks are one active stage in that sequence, not completed monuments. Deep geos and blowholes mark the same pressure inland. Wind, fog, wet ground, and unstable cliff edges can close views quickly and force careful distance from the drop. The cliffs and grassland form a site of special scientific interest. Puffins, guillemots, razorbills, and fulmars use different ledges during the breeding season, but colony activity is seasonal rather than constant. Duncansby's authority rests on a fixed lighthouse beside rock still being dismantled. Confirmed geography and visible erosion carry more weight here than the far better-known Northern Journey marker. A fortress and royal palace pin opposite ends of one city street. The Royal Mile runs roughly 1.8 kilometres between Edinburgh Castle and Holyroodhouse. Its old town and the planned new town form a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Castle Rock is an ancient volcanic plug whose defensible summit overlooks western approaches. Holyroodhouse holds the lower end, making the street a ceremonial and political axis. Power did not occupy this ground alone. Churches, courtyards, and closes packed daily life against the same steep spine. With little room to spread, the old town climbed. Some tenements historically rose beyond 10 stories, a hard answer to restricted land and concentrated population. From 1767, wealthy residents moved north into the planned new town. Broad streets, squares, terraces, and ordered Georgian facades. Planning replaced compression with control. Edinburgh is called a city of 7 hills, though they do not share one origin. Arthur's Seat rises about 250 meters from an ancient volcanic complex, reshaped by glaciers and erosion. The alignment of castle, street, and palace carries the argument. Edinburgh earns its grandeur because medieval power remains locked to documented terrain, construction, and political use. Beneath the Firth of Forth, miners financed the quiet burg above them. Around 1590, Sir George Bruce developed the Moat Pit, described as the first known coal mine to extend under the sea. An offshore structure carried a shaft to workings below the Firth of Forth. It challenged water, weather, and distance until storms destroyed the installation. Coal-fed coastal salt pans. Workers burned it to evaporate seawater, producing a valuable preservative for food and trade. One industry powered the other. Coal, salt, and international commerce made Culross a major centre in the 16th and 17th centuries. The profits financed Bruce's imposing house, now called Culross Palace, though it was not built as a royal residence. Trade carried architectural influence too. Red pantiles joined ochre-harled walls, cobbled lanes, gardens, and steep streets across the former royal burgh. This townscape did not survive by remaining frozen. The National Trust for Scotland now protects it through active conservation after centuries of economic change. The preserved streets are the visible end of a harder chain. Miners beneath the Forth, salt workers on shore, merchant wealth above them, and conservation deciding what remains. Plants that look tropical survive beside highland water because this village occupies a pocket of shelter. Ploughton occupies a protected inlet of Loch Carron, where North Atlantic influence and the bay's cover support cordelines often mistaken for palms. The same protection shaped human work. In the early 19th century, Ploughton expanded as a planned fishing village, built to create coastal employment during severe social and economic change across the Highlands. Whitewashed houses follow the curved shore, but the harbour is not fixed scenery. Each tide changes where small boats can work and how the waterfront is used. Fishing and crofting once carried more of the load. Local services, tourism, and wildlife trips now share it, while a railway station on the line to Kyle of Lochs gives this small village an uncommon public link. That connection does not remove pressure. Summer traffic crowds narrow roads, parking, housing, and local services, forcing a small resident population to absorb demand created by the landscape's appeal. Boat operators search the loch for seals and other marine animals. Residents still need water, roads, homes, and shops to function after visitors leave. That is Ploughton's strength. Monumental scenery remains tied to ordinary work. Prehistoric stones spread across Kilmartin's valley floor beneath the royal fortress of Dunnottar. Kilmartin Glen holds one of Scotland's densest concentrations of prehistoric monuments, while nearby Dunnottar served as a royal centre of the early medieval kingdom of Dal Riata. The valley was never one builder's project. Standing stones, a henge, stone circles and carved rocks share the floor with a line of Bronze Age cairns, built, opened and reused over long spans. Cup and ring marks survive on exposed rock, carefully recorded but still unresolved. Their meaning remains debated, and that limit matters. Evidence must carry more weight than an attractive story. The River Ad opens toward the Atlantic, joining inland routes to coastal movement. Dunnottar rises above low ground, turning height into control over exchange and approach. Fortifications, imported objects, metalworking traces, inscriptions, and a carved footprint tie the hill to authority. The footprint is linked to inauguration traditions, but archaeology, not legend, sets the limit of what can be claimed. the valley leaves one productive uncertainty. Authority is clear at Dunnottar, while the marks and monuments below resist a single story. An island of only a few thousand residents runs an industry whose reach circles the world. Across more than 600 square kilometers, around 10 malt whiskey distilleries keep production moving, though the count changes as old sites reopen and new ones begin. The work reaches far beyond the still house. Barley is malted, peat may be cut and burned for drying, wash ferments, copper stills concentrate the spirit, and casks wait in warehouses. Smoke is only one lever. Water, fermentation, still design, wood, maturation and blending can pull each whiskey in another direction, so Islay cannot be reduced to peat. Then the island must move its output across open water. Ferries carry casks and equipment beside food, fuel, residents and workers. Rough weather or an unreliable vessel presses on the entire chain. Fais Ule tests that capacity again, concentrating international demand on a community of only a few thousand. Winter brings geese to farms and wetlands. At Finlagan, remains linked to the Lords of the Isles mark older island power. The distilleries now show how large-scale craft can endure through generations without hiding the labor behind it. One of Skye's strongest marks of human control stands where land gives way to Atlantic exposure. At Neist Point, a lighthouse has operated since 1909 above seabird cliffs, facing the Minch and the Outer Hebrides. As the largest Inner Hebridean island, Skye is split by sea lochs and long peninsulas. The Eilean Mountains and moorland restrict roads and settlements. Connection changed in 1995, when the Skye Bridge opened a permanent mainland road link at Cailleachin. The Armadale Ferry still keeps the older maritime route to Mallaig. The north carries a different pressure. At Trotternish, unstable basalt layers shifted over weaker rock, producing the vast landslip that includes the Old Man of Storr and the Quairaing. Below the Black Cuillin, streams cut waterfalls and clear rock basins known as the Fairy Pools. The name feeds legend. The landform needs no supernatural cause. Ruined Dunnottar Castle records clan authority, while crofting townships carry the later pressure of clearance, migration, and contested land use. Empty stone and inhabited ground belong to the same history. Neist Point and Skye's ruined castles remain monumental because Atlantic exposure cannot erase the documented marks of clan power and hard island life. Aberdeen quarried civic authority from its own ground, then carried it over uneven terrain on bridges and arches. During the 19th century, granite quarried around Aberdeen, especially at Rubislaw, supplied major public buildings and the streets that joined them. Mica crystals in the stone can turn dry facades silver under direct sun. The effect is visual, but the achievement is structural. Union Street became the main axis of expansion, crossing uneven ground on engineered bridges and arches. Aberdeen did not merely occupy difficult terrain. Builders leveled movement across it. The harbour concentrates another engineering front. Cargo ships, fishing boats, ferries, and offshore service vessels compete for working space along a heavily used coast. From the 1970s onward, North Sea oil and gas transformed jobs, housing, investment, and skill. It also tied the city to shifts in global energy demand. Now those maritime skills support decommissioning, offshore wind, hydrogen projects, and subsea engineering, while hydrocarbons remain part of the workload. Transition here means adaptation, not an overnight replacement. Union Street bridges uneven ground. The harbour now bridges an energy transition. Aberdeen's authority still depends on engineering movement. Northern seas strike the exposed stacks beyond Unst. Outstack is Britain's final land. Beyond Inverness stand Muckleflugga and Outstack. The latter is the country's northernmost land, while Unst is the northernmost inhabited island in the British Isles. That distinction is practical, not ceremonial. Roads and inter-island ferries must cross the Shetland chain before reaching the northern tip of Unst. At Inverness, NatureScot manages a national reserve where a boardwalk carries people over waterlogged peat and moorland. Without that structure, repeated passage would grind into saturated ground. The land then meets Atlantic pressure. Great skuas hold nesting territory across the moor, while gannets, puffins, guillemots, fulmars, and other seabirds divide the cliffs and offshore stacks by ledge and season. These colonies form part of a BirdLife International Important Bird Area. Their numbers change, but their global importance is formally recognized. Offshore, the Stevenson Lighthouse family answered another pressure. They built the Muckleflugga Lighthouse in the 1850s, fixing a working signal above waters where distance, wind, and severe seas compress every margin. At Britain's northern edge, even access is constructed. Boardwalk, ferries, and lighthouse keep people moving while peat, cliffs, and colonies remain exposed. Nearly 50 meters above the North Sea, a narrow headland held the physical symbols of Scotland's monarchy. Across 1651 and 1652, Dunnottar guarded the crown, sword, and sceptre from Cromwell's forces. Vertical cliffs close three sides. A fortified gate squeezes the narrow landward approach into a single controlled entry. The stonework deepened that natural advantage. A tower house, chapel, stores, barracks, and domestic rooms showed generations adapting the headland for command, worship, supply, and residence. During the crisis, the honours were removed from the surrounded castle and concealed nearby until the restoration. People carried the regalia through terrain designed to block entire forces. The record also exposes pressure inside the walls. Covenanters endured severe confinement in the chamber remembered as the Whigs' Vault. By contrast, the tale of William Wallace taking an English garrison comes mainly from Blind Harry's later poem, not contemporary evidence. Grandeur cannot promote tradition into fact. The long stair and exposed path still meet rain, wind, and unstable cliff edges. Access explains the fortress before any legend does. Dunnottar matters because scale does not erase history. The headland protected the honors, but documented human action secured them. Nearly 3-billion-year-old rock supports a country still being reshaped by Atlantic weather. Across Scotland, 3 broad regions and roughly 900 offshore islands set the physical terms for settlement, industry, language, and movement. Northwestern gneiss carries that immense age, but younger mountain building, volcanoes, glaciers, rivers, and waves cut the ridges, glens, sea lochs, and island channels. Central lowland coal and iron drove industrial growth around Glasgow, Lanarkshire, and beyond. Today, most of Scotland's roughly 5.5 million people live in this belt around Glasgow and Edinburgh. Southward, older folded sedimentary rocks form lower rounded uplands. Historic routes crossed them toward England, turning gentler ground into a corridor. The climate divides the map. Atlantic fronts make the west generally wetter and milder, while the eastern rain shadow brings many districts more sunshine. Of roughly 900 islands, only about 90 are permanently inhabited. Ferries, causeways, fishing, crofting, migration, and mainland links still decide how those communities endure. Gaelic remains strongest in the Western Isles, carried through speech, schools, broadcasting, music, and bilingual signs. Across 3 regions and hundreds of islands, the question is who commanded movement over hard ground, and whose labor made that command endure. Mull is the route to Iona as much as an island in its own right. Reached through Mull, Iona became an influential Christian and cultural center after Columba founded a monastery there in 563. Mull's main crossing from Oban to Cregnure takes about 45 minutes. A shorter ferry reaches Fishnish from Lochaline, but beyond the ports, mostly narrow roads carry movement through mountains, sea lochs, farms, and scattered settlements. Urquhart Castle holds the eastern approach near the Sound of Mull. Its position made stone, water, and clan authority part of the same control point, still associated with Clan MacLean. Tobermory works differently, its colourful waterfront-inspired Balamory, yet the harbour remains an active piece of island infrastructure rather than a television backdrop. Wildlife also carries economic weight. Grey seals, otters, red deer, seabirds, and birds of prey support a wildlife watching economy, while reintroduced white-tailed eagles mark a major conservation success. On Iona, medieval tradition links Reilig od Rain with rulers of Scotland, Ireland, and Norway, though exact royal counts remain unverified. The count can remain unresolved. Columba's monastery and Mull's route to it already establish the island's historical weight. Mountains more than 900 meters high rise almost from sea level at Torridon, yet their oldest foundation, remains hidden beneath the sandstone. Massive beds of ancient Torridonian sandstone rest on much older Louisian gneiss, while pale quartzite caps parts of Bain A. Glaciers cut corries, deepened the glens, and sharpened the walls of Liathach, Bain Alligin, and Bain A. The result is steep access, exposed ridges, and complicated descents. Cloud can hide those ridges quickly. A line that appears close from Loch Torridon can become a hard test of navigation, footing, and endurance. The single-track shore road cannot escape the same limits. It links scattered communities, estates, walking routes, and coastal work, while rock and water dictate speed. In 1951, Bain I became Britain's first national nature reserve. It protects mountain habitat and remnants of Caledonian pinewood, but designation alone cannot restore damaged ground. Heavy grazing and path erosion still demand control, while woodland regeneration requires time. Protection here means reducing pressure until roots and soil can hold. Torridon's grandeur earns respect because the evidence remains visible. Ancient stone in the peaks, deliberate protection across the mountain. Herring dictated Ullapool's first street plan. The town later became a lifeline for a much wider Highland region. In 1788, the British Fisheries Society founded Ullapool on Loch Broom, laying out a planned settlement around the herring trade. The regular street grid was not decoration. It aligned homes, workshops, curing yards, stores, and harbour access, so catch and labour could move efficiently. That plan turned a small fishing settlement into an important centre for the Northwest Highlands. But herring could not promise lasting prosperity. Stocks, markets, migration, and employment repeatedly changed its fortunes. Today, seafood businesses share the waterfront with ferries crossing the Minch to Stornoway. Those sailings carry residents, freight, vehicles, and visitors between the mainland and Outer Hebrides. Weather and season can disrupt that link. A delayed crossing here is not a scenic inconvenience. It presses on supply, work, and island connection. Road tourism brings intense seasonal demand to rooms, shops, parking, and public services. The village must absorb far more activity without losing its working harbour. Ullapool Museum records fishing, migration, Gaelic culture, and the Highland clearances. The straight streets still meet their original test. Keep people, freight, and work moving when fish, weather, and markets change. Boats, roads, and public services, not royal memory, keep Portree working beneath a name nearly 5 centuries old. Portree is commonly read as King's Harbour, traditionally linked to a visit by James V in 1540, though one event may not explain the whole name. The sheltered harbour anchors Skye's principal service centre on its eastern side. Fishing vessels, tour boats, and small working craft share water governed by tides, weather, landings, and deliveries. Behind the bright waterfront, Portree carries northern Skye, transport, schools, shops, accommodation, repairs, public services, and seafood when seasons allow. That role intensifies in summer. More visitors mean traffic and parking pressure, competition for housing, and longer workloads for local businesses. Tour traffic converges on Portree before dispersing across northern Skye on roads with few alternatives. The map may scatter the attractions, but their traffic, staffing, and supply demands return to the same town. The royal name survives, but the harbour's real authority is practical. It keeps northern Skye supplied and moving. Caerlaverock's strongest defence was not height, but geometry pressed into wet ground. Built for the Maxwell family in the 13th century, its triangular plan is described as unique among British castles. 3 corner towers, curtain walls, a twin-towered gatehouse, and a water-filled moat concentrated movement at controlled approaches. Marsh and coastal ground strengthened the design instead of undermining it. An abandoned castle site nearby exposes the builder's lesson. Fortification had to shift when local conditions made the first position fail. In 1300, Edward I brought a large royal force and siege engines against Caerlaverock. The Caerlaverock roll recorded participating nobles and their heraldry, giving this pressure an unusually detailed written record. Yet Caerlaverock was not frozen as a fortress. During the 1630s, the first Earl of Nithsdale built the Nithsdale Lodging, setting Renaissance carvings inside medieval defences. That contrast reveals political ambition changing form. Stone still projected rank, but domestic display now occupied space once shaped mainly to control entry and absorb pressure. After the Covenanter siege of 1640, part of the south wall was deliberately demolished. The triangle still controls the eye, but the breached wall gives the verdict. Engineered power had an end. A single fault line packs mountain country and sheltered farmland onto one small island. Across roughly 430 square kilometers, the Highland boundary fault divides granite mountains and steep northern glens from southern farmland, beaches, and sheltered settlements. Ferries from Ayrshire feed into Brodick, Arran's transport and service centre. Beyond it, the island road exposes sharp changes in slope, soil, vegetation, and land use. North of the divide, Goat Fell rises to nearly 900 metres, pushing roads and settlements around hard ground. Southward, lower hills open room for farms and villages. Around 5,000 residents sustain farming, food production, construction, tourism, transport, and local services. Ferry capacity and seasonal demand still control goods, work, and income. Even whiskey follows the geology. Lochranza distillery stands in the mountainous north. Lag operates in the south. 2 production sites obey the same ancient divide. Brodick Castle records centuries of aristocratic estate power. Macri Moor reaches further back, preserving evidence of settlement and ceremony from thousands of years earlier. That is Arran's real grandeur. One fault compressed Scotland's terrain, labour, and recorded history into a small, inhabited island. Four of Scotland's 5 highest summits rise above a landscape where people farm, travel, manage estates, and restore forests. The Cairngorms cover more than 4,500 square kilometers, almost twice Luxembourg, and hold 4 of Scotland's 5 highest summits. A subarctic plateau forms the core, carrying Ben Macdui, Breariach, Cairntoul and Score, and Lochain Uain. Below it, glens hold forests, rivers, farms, estates, villages, and transport routes. Altitude sets hard terms. Snow can remain in sheltered hollows into summer, while wind and cloud drive severe conditions even when the lower glens are mild. Remnant Caledonian pinewood supports red squirrels, crested tits and capercaillie. Higher zones hold mountain hares, ptarmigan, red deer and golden eagles. A managed free-ranging reindeer herd has been present since the early 1950s. Wolves vanished from Scotland centuries ago, and Eurasian lynx do not live wild here. Protection demands physical work, expanding native woodland, controlling damaging grazing, repairing eroded paths, and restoring the critically endangered Scottish wildcat. Ski areas, roads, farming, and tourism compete across the same ground, while climate change shifts upland conditions. The park is protected, but neither empty nor untouched. Its grandeur is measurable, 4 of Scotland's 5 highest summits held under competing demands. An 800-year-old cathedral and shipyards that launched ocean liners belong to the same city. Glasgow, Scotland's largest city, carried religious authority around its medieval cathedral and industrial force along the Clyde. Glasgow Cathedral has stood for more than 8 centuries and survives substantially intact. Nearby, the Victorian necropolis fixes the ambitions of merchants, industrialists, ministers, and civic leaders in stone. The university, founded in the 15th century, later counted Adam Smith as student and teacher. Faith, learning, commerce, and rank concentrated power here before the great liners. Atlantic trade then enlarged the city's wealth through commodities tied to slavery. The record matters. Industrial grandeur did not rise on engineering alone. Large vessels could reach Glasgow only after engineers deepened and managed the Clyde. They did not inherit a shipbuilding river. They forced the channel into working shape. Clyde yards launched Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth, and QE2, carrying local labour across oceans. Titanic came from Belfast, not Glasgow, a correction to a durable myth. Decline left unemployment and derelict ground. Later reuse reclaimed the riverfront, but Glasgow's stature still rests on 2 facts. Faith endured in stone, and industry reshaped a river. A protected landscape of lochs and mountains also works for villages, farms, and a major city beyond its boundary. The park covers nearly 2,000 square kilometers, while Loch Katrina helps supply water to Glasgow far beyond its boundary. Loch Lomond is the park's largest water body, but it is no isolated scenery. Roads, boats, farms, forestry, reservoirs, and conservation all compete for ground. The Highland boundary fault helps divide the terrain. Southern Loch Lomond broadens around islands, To the north, the water narrows under steeper mountains. The fault-shaped movement and settlement. Balloch serves as a southern gateway. Luce holds a long-settled place beside an important water route. Eastward, the Trossachs gather around Loch Katrina, Loch Achray, wooded glens, and exposed uplands. The change from sheltered trees to hard open ground can happen quickly. Ben Lomond shows the cost of access. Heavy use brings tourism income, but it also cuts into paths, forcing continual repair against erosion. 19th century writing made the region an early scenic destination, but its real scale is practical. This terrain sustains settlement, urban water, livelihoods, and recreation under one hard geography. One of Scotland's largest surviving ancient pine woods stands in a glen that human pressure has already changed. About 25 kilometers west of Loch Ness, Glen Affric carries two national designations, yet browsing, altered water levels, and worn paths still demand active management. The River Affric links Loch Affric and Loch Bean am Headhoyne beneath the mountains. Scots pine holds the principal canopy, with birch, rowan, aspen and juniper rooted in thin, acidic soils. Its greatest pressure can be quiet. Heavy deer browsing has restricted young trees across large areas, so regeneration depends on managing grazing and giving seedlings room to rise. Those designations are the National Nature Reserve and National Scenic Area. Together, they defend both woodland recovery and the wider landscape. Yet protection does not erase intervention. Hydroelectric development altered water levels at Loch Bean am Headhoyne, forestry affected the wider catchment, and popular paths still need repair. A protected title cannot lift pine seedlings beyond browsing height. Recovery depends on reducing pressure year after year. The world searches for a creature, yet its greater force is a corridor that carried boats, troops, and political control. Loch Ness runs 37 kilometers through the Great Glen and reaches roughly 230 meters deep. Glaciers deepened this fault-controlled basin. It holds more fresh water than all the lakes of England and Wales combined. Peat from surrounding ground darkens the water, while depth and weak light cut underwater visibility. Those conditions sustain Nessie stories without proving them. Sonar, photographic analysis and environmental DNA research have produced no reliable confirmation of a large unknown animal. The water does move, but by known forces. It circulates seasonally, rivers feed the loch, and boats use the Caledonian Canal route between the Atlantic and North Sea coasts. Urquhart Castle fixed power to a promontory above this artery. Its walls changed hands during medieval struggles because the route mattered. Government forces deliberately damaged the fortress in 1692 to deny it to the Jacobites. The broken tower is more compelling than the legend. It records the scale of defense imposed on the Great Glen. A medieval household could turn one gate into a residence, a checkpoint, and a declaration of rank. At Doon, Robert Stewart, Duke of Albany, built most of the present castle in the late 14th century when he held immense influence in Scotland. Its position near the River Tythe helped oversee routes linking central Scotland with the Highlands. Geography gave the household leverage. The tall gatehouse placed the Lord's Hall and private rooms above the entrance. A separate Great Hall turned rank and ceremony into controlled space. Behind that display, a kitchen tower, service passages, stores and defensive walls organized food, goods, security, and labor. Noble scale demanded disciplined work. Albany's ambition required more than massive masonry. It required a household engineered to function under pressure. After the Albany Stuart family lost power in the 15th century, the Crown took Doon. It served as a royal residence, hunting base, detention site, and military post. Jacobite forces occupied it in 1745. Films later gave Doon new identities. The gatehouse and Great Hall remain hard evidence of ambition organized in stone. Eilean Donan's medieval silhouette was largely recovered by a rebuild completed in the 20th century. The earlier stronghold was reduced to ruins in 1719, then stood empty for almost 2 centuries. Its tidal island guards the meeting of Loch Duich, Loch Long, and Loch Alsh, where inland glens connect with sea routes. A small rock held leverage over movement. The first castle dates to the early 13th century, amid Scottish rule, Norse influence, and rival Western lordships. The Mackenzies and their MacRae allies later held the site. In 1719, a small Spanish force occupied it during a Jacobite rising. Royal Navy pressure ended that position. Landed troops used captured gunpowder, and most of the castle was lost. The vacancy lasted until Lieutenant Colonel John MacRae Gilstrap bought the island and began reconstruction in 1912. Working with stonemason Farquhar MacRae, he completed it in 1932. The 20-year rebuild also produced the permanent bridge. This is a modern interpretation around surviving fabric, not an exact medieval copy from complete plans. Film and television made the outline global. Its sharper history is deliberate reinvention. After 2 empty centuries, builders restored a symbol of power at Scotland's tidal crossroads. These islands held organized communities before Scotland existed as a nation. Across around 70 islands, about 20 inhabited, Skye Brae preserves linked stone houses more than 5,000 years old. Inside are hearths, storage spaces, and fitted stone furniture. These are not traces of temporary shelter, but evidence of people organizing domestic life in stone. Skye Brae, the Ring of Brodgar, Maeshau, and the stones of Stennis form the UNESCO-listed Heart of Neolithic Orkney. Later, sand and soil protected some remains from the island's hard weather. Norse rule laid another political layer over that older ground before Orkney joined Scotland in the 15th century. In Kirkwall, St Magnus Cathedral fixes the islands firmly within the medieval record. Scapa Flow later became a major naval anchorage, proving that the same exposed geography could carry strategic weight. Today, surrounding waters support seals, whales, orcas, and seasonal seabird colonies. Orkney now tests wind, tidal, battery, and hydrogen technologies. Renewable generation has often exceeded annual electricity demand, yet limited transmission can block surplus power from reaching wider markets. Skara Brae and Brodgar earn admiration without legend. Firm evidence places organised communities here before Scotland became a nation. A town grew beneath Britain's highest summit around a fort built to control Highland movement. Ben Nevis reaches more than 1,300 metres, and its standard track gains nearly that full height from Glen Nevis. The mountain track is the usual line, not an easy one. It demands a strenuous full day and ends on a broad rocky plateau where cloud disrupts navigation. Weather can shift from mild glen rain to cold, snow, strong wind, and almost no summit visibility. Height leaves little warning. The ruins at the top belong to a weather observatory staffed from 1883 to 1904. Observers gathered high-altitude records under severe conditions. Fort William grew around a 17th-century government fort built to control the Great Glen. Roads and rail later made the town a civilian junction. Nearby, Steel Falls drops about 120 metres into Glen Nevis. Even at that scale, Ben Nevis dictates the wider routes and the margin for error. The old fort asserted authority across the corridor. Above it, Ben Nevis still sets terms no government can soften. At Europe's Atlantic edge, a ring of stone carries almost 5,000 years of human intent. Calonaeus is broadly contemporary with Stonehenge's earliest phases and predates its famous Sarsen Circle. The monument stands within a long island chain shaped by Atlantic wind, waves, and repeated movement across water. Lewis and Harris share one landmass. Farther south, ferries, bridges, and causeways bind the Uists, Benbecula, Barra, and smaller islands. Life here has never rested on scenery alone. Crofting and fishing work narrow margins, while migration repeatedly tests island communities. On western coasts, shell-rich sand builds machair grassland for farms, flowers, and breeding birds. Erosion and changing agricultural use can strip that balance away. Gaelic gives this chain another kind of continuity. It remains widely spoken, stands first on bilingual road signs, and holds ground through schools, broadcasting, music, worship, and community events. Sunday transport, shops and services can be limited, especially on Lewis and Harris, because Christian Sabbath observance still carries weight. Daily life continues, but on terms set by a surviving tradition. Callinaeus proves these Atlantic islands carry mainland-scale history, fixed in evidence rather than legend. Scotland's first Cistercian house survives not as one building, but as a record of rebuilding under frontier pressure. David I founded Melrose in 1136. Its church was dedicated 10 years later. The first monks came from Rievaulx Abbey in Yorkshire. Monks and lay brothers worked farms, sheep, mills, water channels, and distant estates. Wool from those holdings helped drive the medieval borders economy. Beside the River Tweed, prayer rested on land, labour, water and trade. Near England, wealth also meant exposure. Anglo-Scottish warfare repeatedly damaged the abbey. So much of its elaborate church comes from later medieval rebuilding, not David's first foundation. Gothic tracery and carvings of saints, plants, animals and figures carry that history. Generations of stoneworkers answered damage with fresh structure and detail. Royal memory adds another layer, but evidence demands restraint. Tradition places the embalmed heart of Robert the Bruce here. A casket believed to hold a heart was found and reburied in modern times, though identification remains impossible. Melrose's ruin is less a relic than a ledger. Monks, lay brothers, wool, warfare, and rebuilding remain legible in the stone. Some of Europe's highest sea cliffs supported human survival, yet the settlement was evacuated. Roughly 60 kilometers west of the Outer Hebrides, the archipelago carries more than 4,000 years of intermittent occupation, yet its remaining residents requested evacuation in 1930. This was not a community that simply vanished. Growing reliance on outside supplies, illness, population decline, and deep isolation tightened the limits until departure became a collective decision. For generations, survival demanded small fields, livestock, fishing, and the harvesting of seabirds and eggs from cliffs among Europe's highest. Hundreds of stone cleats kept food, fuel, and other materials usable in wet wind. Nature imposed the pressure and also supplied the food. Today, these islands hold the Northeast Atlantic's largest seabird colony, with internationally important gannet, puffin, and fulmar populations, while feral soay sheep preserve another distinct biological record. Modern access still answers to weather. Conservation teams must protect fragile breeding grounds, and the abandoned stone remains at the same time. Favoring one would damage the evidence carried by the other. St Kilda's rare UNESCO status recognizes both nature and culture, immense cliffs, and recorded human endurance. Some of Europe's oldest rock sites beneath mountains that look much younger than they are. Across Assynt and Coigach, Lewisian gneiss formed nearly 3 billion years ago, while later sandstone now crowns isolated ridges. These peaks are not volcanic cones. Glacial erosion stripped and separated the rock layers, cutting Suilven, Stac Polide, Canisp and Quinag into narrow ridges and steep faces. At Knocken Crag, immense crustal movement drove older rock above younger formations along the Moyne Thrust. 19th century arguments over that evidence became a landmark in modern structural geology. Beside Loch Assynt, Ardvreck Castle records clan power on ground far older than any ruler. Modern power came down to ownership. In the early 1990s, the Assynt Crofters Trust bought the North Lochinver estate, an early landmark in Highland community land reform. That purchase moved decisions closer to the people who worked the ground. Crofters gained greater control over grazing, housing, conservation, and development in a region long dominated by large estates. Narrow roads bind Ullapool, Lochinver, and northern settlements across difficult country. Here the chronology is stark. 3 billion-year-old stone, clan authority, estate rule, then crofters making decisions over the same ground. Corachad Moor projects slightly farther west than Ardnamurchan Point, whose 36-meter lighthouse remains the peninsula's commanding landmark. That correction matters. Public landmarks can command a map even when precise geography places the boundary elsewhere. Built to a design by Alan Stevenson, the lighthouse has operated since 1849. Its stone tower guides vessels through waters exposed to Atlantic storms, turning a remote headland into working infrastructure. The road in reinforces the cost of that position. Long single-track stretches thread around sea lochs, woodland and crofting settlements, while a ferry from Kilchoan links the peninsula with Tobermory. Under that road lies a much older structure, the eroded remnant of a volcanic center formed as the North Atlantic opened around 60 million years ago. Ring-shaped intrusions cross the peninsula, although geologists have revised their interpretation. Human control changed as well. Clan MacDonald of Ardnamurchan once held this district, a reach measured not by one fortress but by coast, settlement, water, and difficult ground. The lighthouse and the clan record earn their scale through evidence. Engineered reach on one headland, territorial reach across the peninsula. I believe Scotland's built heritage earns admiration because scale never has to replace evidence. A fortress on a sea stack, a capital set against volcanic rock, or a granite city facing the North Sea began as a practical answer to pressure. Control a route, hold a harbour, organize labour, display authority. These places now face another test. Weather, heavy footfall, restoration, and polished legends can weaken the record. Strong preservation keeps repairs visible, tests claims against documents and archaeology, and leaves room for living communities. That standard matters beyond Scotland. In an age that turns monuments into instant images, disciplined history protects more than masonry. It protects a nation's ability to understand how land, labor, faith, and power built the present, and who gained from that command. Continue with this documentary series as it tests monumental places against the historical record and examines where engineering, political power, and living heritage still shape nations across the world.